Thank you, and I hope you were inspired by those great messages. Now let's move on to panel two, which is a conversation with three more companies that are here to talk about starting their journey on diversity and inclusion. We have Mitra Innovation, Wiley Global, and Cisco Labs. We have Shehan Kumar as the moderator, who's a winner of the Outstanding Young Persons of Sri Lanka Award. Shehan is a professional marketeer with 21 years of global corporate experience in local and multinational IT companies, specializing in branding and communications, and is now at Pearson Lanka. He's also a SLASCOM General Council member, a corporate trainer, and a motivational speaker specialized in personal presentation and public speaking. While he is currently the Sri Lanka's most active quiz master, conducting some of Sri Lanka's most high-profile quiz competitions like Viz Quiz and Let's Get Quizzical. Shehan, over to you.
So much, Barney. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a part of this very interesting session. It's a very gloomy evening in Colombo. I'm glad that it's not raining here, but I heard that it's raining in some areas where our panelists are from. So I really hope that we'll be able to conduct this session without any technical glitches. So let me once again remind you, the objective of this discussion is to highlight what the intentions are of these companies, right? So we have three really good companies that are taking part in this segment of the session. So we want to discuss what they are doing towards diversity and inclusion, right? We are going to discuss what is currently being done and find out what their future plans are towards gender diversity. Of course, I want to remind you that each of these companies will be at different points of personal learning, as well as the company's journey with regards to DNA, right? So this forum will be all about sharing and learning from each other. So it's going to be a very exciting session. And I have with me three lovely ladies joining with me. So let me introduce our first panelist. We have Rangika Abenayaka. She's currently the head of human resources of Wiley Technology Private Limited, or Wiley Sri Lanka. Wiley Sri Lanka started 2 years back in Colombo as a key technology centers of John Wiley and Sons. Over the last 2 years, Wiley Sri Lanka has grown rapidly by 400 plus workforce, with plans to grow even further. Wiley Sri Lanka is the largest technology center of John Wiley and Sons, driving their product engineering and technology operations. Before joining Wiley, Rangika worked for John Keells Holdings, Millennium IT, and Dialog Asiata. She counts over 16 years of HR experience working for both global and local organizations spanning across diverse industries. So I've asked Rangika a couple of informal questions, right? So her favorite diversity related quote is, "Strength lies in differences, not in similarities," right? And Rangika's superpower. So if you see behind me, I'm a huge Marvel and DC fan, so I have some action figures at the back. So I love asking people what their superpower is. So Rangika's superpower is the power to make people love and care for themselves and all other living beings and nature. Rangika, would you like to elaborate on your favorite diversity?
Yes, thank you, Shehan. My favorite diversity quote, as you explained, is strength lies in differences, not in similarities. I believe each and every person is unique and special and wonderful in their own way, and none of us are perfect. And when we put all of these differences together, we always come out with something, a better output, something stronger and better. So I really believe in the more diverse we are, the more diverse perspectives we have. And together we achieve something greater than what one individual can do. And you were talking about superpower. I wish I get the opportunity to get more superpowers, but I had to shortlist it to one. Why I choose this was I believe we can solve half of the problems that are in the world if everyone learns to love themselves, have empathy, accept who they are, and also have the same and not to exclude nature in the whole equation. And at Super, that is to influence people and empower people to have love and empathy, acceptance for themselves and for all other living beings and nature altogether.
Thank you so much. You seem to be a fantastic brand ambassador for diversity and inclusion. All right, so we have uh, our next panelist, Pumali Chandrasiri. She's the current regional segment head for Australia and New Zealand at Mitra Innovation. Before joining Mitra, Pumali worked at Virtusa and recently moved back home from Sydney. She was working with a leading digital bank. Pumali counts 13 years of project management experience and enjoys wearing multiple hats in the roles she has played and continues to play in her career. Right, welcome Pumali. Pumali's favorite diversity related quote is, "It is time for parents to teach young people early on that in diversity, there is beauty and there is strength." Fantastic. And her superpower is teleportation. Pumali, welcome. Can you elaborate a bit about your quote and your superpower as well?
Yeah, thanks, Shahan. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me. Well, about the quote, I think that this quote has two very important meanings. And since we're talking about the unconscious bias, and these are things that are embedded into our minds from a very young age, I think it's important to teach our children because it's so much easier to mold the minds of young children and to mitigate the unconscious bias rather than to do it when they're adults. And this is why I think we have a lot of challenges with diversity and inclusion in our corporate life and even in our social life. Is that when you're adults, you're set in your ways, that unconscious bias is embedded into your mind. But if you mold and teach your children that diversity, the importance of diversity and inclusion, I think it's going to make a much better future for all of us going forward. And also if you take the that there is beauty and there is strength in diversity, yes, I mean, if you really think about it, isn't it true that when people come together in the name of diversity and inclusion, that you get a result of something really beautiful? You get to see amazing things like the Paralympics, for an example. But what you see as a result of exclusion and marginalization, it's often something unpleasant like a hate crime or war or even suicide. And so because of that, I personally take every opportunity that I can to teach my daughter, my nieces and my nephews, that diversity is in fact a thing of beauty. And when it comes to my superpower, I mean, I'm not sure if this is even related to the topic, but I honestly would love to have the power of teleporting. And I think if I was to use it for the good of mankind, I would use it to sort of teleport into space and find out if there's life beyond Earth, to see if we can learn something from another life form.
All right, pretty interesting. Wow, I would love to personally have the superpower of teleporting myself. All right, thank you. Next, we have our third panelist, Kushani Kalpage. Kushani counts over 10 years of experience in the IT industry and is currently the Senior Manager Marketing at Cisco Labs Sri Lanka. Kushani has played a key role in rebranding Cisco Labs and positioning it as one of the best tech companies in Sri Lanka. She has worked on projects from employer branding to internal communications to shaping the culture of the company. Kushani is currently a board member of DCLK and has also been closely working with SLASCOM on key projects over the past several years. She played a major role in successfully launching the Island of Ingenuity IOI brand in 2018. She has also served as an IOI branding committee member over the last couple of years. Kushani, welcome. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, so we have quite a few interesting topics to discuss on. First, we have Rangika. Rangika, I would like to ask from you. Tell us a bit more about the diversity and inclusion intentions at Wiley. I know Wiley is a relatively new company in Sri Lanka. Tell us a bit more about the D&I intentions at Wiley.
Yes, let me explain further. We are working very closely with all locations when it comes to DNI. We are all included and we work as one team. So Wiley's intentions of diversity and inclusion are very broad, mainly internal and external. And we are focused on creating an impact internally as well as in the society. As all of you know, we are in our business, our business, our mission is to unlock human potential. In doing that, being inclusive of different perspectives is how we drive innovation in our business. So in that sense, D&I strategy, it plays an integral role in corporate strategy. So it goes to the extent corporate objectives are developed D&I, and those are cascaded workforce. We are quite diverse and we the countries. And through these efforts, we aim to create a culture that each and every colleague, irrespective of differences, whatever the differences, can thrive equally in an environment where they feel they are accepted and they feel a sense of belonging. So we embed D&I efforts in our culture, values as well as competencies. It goes to that extent. And our efforts have resulted in recognizing Wiley as one of the 2021 best places to work and earn 100% on the Human Rights Campaign Foundation's assessment for workplace equality. And our intentions go beyond the workplace out there to society. And we try to create an impact in the society by making education affordable and accessible to everyone, because we feel education is a very powerful tool when we speak about D&I and creating an impact in the society. It's very interesting to see how Wiley takes a very strategic approach and gives a huge importance to D&I. We have an all-inclusive approach to implementing D&I agenda. To explain a bit further, starting from our CEO, group CEO, who's really passionate and committed for driving D&I agenda. Also, the senior leadership team, as well as board of directors, they are really focused on ensuring the strategy is executed. And we also have an enterprise committee that works on crafting the D&I strategy. And Sri Lanka has a seat in the enterprise committee, and we get involved directly in crafting the D&I strategy at a global level. And also we have business committees. Through this, this is where we try to create an impact in the society by making sure D&I needs are reflective in the way we do business, and those are reflective in the products and services we offer. And also, when we talk about D&I, it's really important that we involve everyone, all colleagues. So for that, we have employee resource groups, various coming together, providing inputs to the strategy formulation, as well as driving culture, engagement, learning. And these groups are really these initiatives intention society at a global level.
Right. Thank you. Exciting. So it's a new company, senior company globally, but in Sri Lanka, it's a rather new company. And it's really exciting to see companies such as Wiley taking up D&I as a priority, right? So early in their journey. In your opinion, like what were the first steps that you had to take? You know, the culture and everything is different, right? From the US to us in Sri Lanka. What were the first steps that you took to putting diversity and inclusion in place towards this journey in Sri Lanka?
Yeah. we were all part of building a new company in Sri Lanka. We completed 2 years. Like you mentioned, we are growing very rapidly. We are 400 people strong. Uh, but one thing we had from the start was our focus on DNI, deep rooted in everything that we do, starting from our leadership focus and commitment. We believe leaders have to drive it, then everyone else will believe in the same thing and they will contribute and they follow. So entire leadership team in Sri Lanka are quite passionate about this and they're very committed in driving this strategy. And we get a lot of support from the global team, including all the committees, global leadership in driving this agenda in Sri Lanka. And they do recognize that the context and requirements and what DNI mean will be different from location to location. And that's where we make use of our seat in the enterprise committee to give our inputs to make sense in Sri Lanka in what we do in DNI. As a new company, we believe setting the right culture is really, really important from the start because end of the day, although we talk about a lot of theories, it boils down into how people actually feel. Do they feel that they belong to this organization? Do they feel accepted? Do we value the authentic selves that they have? Can they bring that to the workplace? So we placed a huge importance to our culture. We are very careful in the kind of culture that we are driving. So all our new joinees are required to go through mandatory training on culture awareness and in terms of building a dignified workplace. And we believe creating that awareness from the start, from the day a colleague joins the Wiley family is really important in building and sustaining this culture. And just by doing a one-off training, we can't build a culture of inclusiveness. And we believe there has to be a continuous dialogue that goes on and everyone gets involved. For an example, these days we have a global initiative where what we call as 21-day DNI challenge. Globally, colleagues across the globe and also in Sri Lanka get together, they interact and they talk about DNI, what it means to them and what challenges they have, and very freely expressing their opinions. And they can see how other colleagues in other locations give comments and like what they say. So a lot of interaction and enthusiasm is built through this 21-day challenge. Also, we believe in driving this culture. Engagement is a huge factor. We want everyone's voice to be heard and to include everyone in all that we do. So in this space, we believe employee resource groups play a huge role. Although Wiley is pretty new, Wiley Sri Lanka team is very active in these employee resource groups. For an example, we have Wiley Women in Technology. Even recently for Women's Day, they arranged some initiatives to educate, empower the female workforce. So we are proud to say we have a very passionate team of people at Wiley, Sri Lanka. Also, we have dedicated learning sites made available for our colleagues and dedicated for DNI topics. And we don't stop there. We don't believe just by making resources available or doing a training, we can create a change, impact, but it's through continuous dialogue and how we relate it. So the second step would be like taking the essence from the learning, we start a conversation. We have sessions with colleagues where we speak about our challenges, our learning, and how we actually apply these things in our day-to-day work. And also we have embedded this in our corporate culture, values, and competencies. For an example, one of our competencies are how we value differences. So it's a very much of a holistic approach. Although Wiley is growing very fast, we didn't want to be reactive to see after hiring 400, what is the gender ratio we have. In that case, it will be too late. So we had the right focus from the start. The leadership team down the line, all people managers, everyone included, we all thought we should be really proactive in our effort. And we always watch the industry gender ratios and making sure that we are reaching there or even achieving more than the industry ratios in terms of gender diversity. And also partnering with alliances such as DCLK, SLASCOM in driving DNI initiatives. We thought when we are connected, more connected, we are more stronger. And not only that, aligning with the corporate objectives and intentions of creating an impact in society, we thought it's always important, although we are new, relatively new, just 2 years, we want to create an impact in the society. So we are initiating scholarships to educate, empower women through education and to come into technology studies and get included in the technology workforce. Yeah, and constantly we measure the engagement levels. We have a platform which provide predictive insights. So we want to see whether all our efforts have given results. So through our engagement surveys, we see whether people really feel that they belong to this place, because that's what we try to achieve end of the day. And we constantly measure, take action, and focus on continuous improvement.
Wow, thanks so much, Radhika. It's really interesting. And, I think it was the great Peter Drucker who said, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So I think culture plays a huge role in anything that we do. Thank you so much for that very, very detailed explanation. Right, thank you so much. So now we have Pumali from Mitra Innovation. Pumali, so I want to ask you a few very interesting that I found out about Mitra Innovation. Mitra has approximately a 40% gender balance leadership level. In fact, we have to point out at this moment, Mitra is one of the few companies in Sri Lanka that have a woman at the helm of a tech company. Wow. So, Pumali, what are some of the best practices you attribute for the gender balance in leadership at Mitra?
Yeah. So I agree with Rangika and what she was saying about, that DNI can't simply be a policy or a training. It has to, be a continuous dialogue. You have to live and breathe it. So I'll just take, a few things that, Mitra does on a, day-to-day basis that kind of promotes DNI initiatives. I guess research shows that one of the main reasons that women are reluctant to get into technology and leadership roles are like the lack of role models in the industry. So having a female CEO, and I've been in the industry for 15 years, and this is the first time that I'm working under a female CEO, has inspired a lot of women in the organization to sort of aspire towards reaching for leadership positions. And we also take active steps when balancing the gender for the succession planning to groom the next level of employees who will be the future leaders of Mitra. So and we actively measure that as well. When recruiting the up and coming workforce, for an example, 50% of our interns are female, and that's not just a coincidence. And I think pay parity is a huge problem globally, and that a lot of tech companies are struggling with. So it's also an important factor of making sure that both genders feel equal and included. So Mitra is very strict and transparent about the fact that pay parity is maintained across the organization. Our policy is to pay people based on their skills and level of experience above all other factors. So that gives women in the organization the confidence that their contribution to the organization is valued as much as their male counterparts. So that is a major motivational factor for them to take up more responsibilities within the organization. And work-life balance is given a lot of importance. In the tech industry, inevitably, there are going to be situations where, teams might have to put in some extra effort, due to a code red or production deployment or something like that. And, if I take an example of one initiative that we, that is something of a day-to-day occurrence kind of thing that we practice in Mitra is we have this meeting every week where even the founders of the company join, and we talk about the global portfolio of projects. And what's interesting is that every company does this, but one of the main things that we talk about is the health of the teams, and this could be this could not just be, this could be anything from their, mental well-being, their work-life balance. Are they burning out? So if we do feel that any team is burning out, we collectively, talk about it and sort of come up with a plan on how we can help them, how we can, enable them to face this challenging situation without compromising their family life or their work-life balance. Overworking isn't glorified at Mitra. So that sentiment comes from the very top of the organization. And I think these factors encourages women and lets them know that they're supported and they're able to carry out their, duties to their families. And I think because that is a major factor that stops, women in technology taking up leadership positions as well. They know that they are supported and they can still maintain a healthy work-life balance. Having said all that, I think it's most important to identify that there's a lot of room for improvement in any organization in Sri Lanka. I mean, norms and inequities in the society, like we talked about, can easily get embedded within the organization. So it's important to identify those blind spots, within processes and policies, and then continue to make improvements. Diversity and inclusion, like we talked about before, it can't be a one-off training. It's always a work in progress, and it has to be reflected top down, bottom up and middle out. What's important is the ability to admit when things need improvement and actually act dynamically on it, which I think is something that Mitra practices regularly.
Right, that's amazing. So is there a difference now? You said this is the first company that you work for, which is being headed by a lady, a woman. Is there a difference on how the business is done? Can you compare this current situation with some of the other companies that you have worked for, Pumali?
Yes. So yeah, like I said, this is the first time I'm working under a female CEO, and I see, I would probably compare the leadership styles. I see a difference in leadership styles. In my past, I have seen a lot of transactional leadership styles where leadership was viewed like a transaction between the leader and the subordinate. You're rewarded for good performance and vice versa. In Mitra, I see a lot of transformational leadership, where it differs from the traditional command and control style of leadership. It's a kind of, leadership where interactively our leaders transform, everyone's self-interest into the interest of the group through sort of concerns for a broader goal that we are aiming for. And this kind of leadership, encourages participation. They share power and a lot of information, and actively also working on enhancing individual self-growth. So for an example, our CEO Chinti has started this new initiative called the Spotlight. And that's a one-on-one chat, one-on-one interview with someone at Mitra who she picks every month to talk about their contribution to the industry, their achievements, any challenges that they faced along the way. And last month, it was my colleague who actually runs the Australia and New Zealand region alongside with me as a principal architect. And, she had just won the Women in Management Award for 2021, which was a really great, achievement. And she was given the spotlight in the company to talk about her achievements and some of the challenges she faced. And next month she has nominated one of our male colleagues to be featured in the next episode. So I asked her why she started these episodes, and it's really interesting that she told me that because I was intrigued. I had never seen something like that before, being done by a CEO. So, and she told me that she believes that it's important to develop the individual, and the personal eminence is the key to building an individual's confidence, which I thought was refreshingly different to anything I had seen so far in terms of leadership. So that's the main difference I see from my previous company.
Fantastic, amazing. Kudos to Chinti and the Mitra team. All right, thank you so much, Pumali. We move on to our next panelist now, Kushani Kalpage from Cisco Labs. Kushani, I want to ask you this question. Why does Cisco Labs believe in diversity and inclusion? And why do you think, why does Cisco Labs believe it is an important factor for your company? Kushani?
All right, can you all hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're getting messages from Barney saying that we don't have much time. So I'm gonna keep my answers as short as possible. So to your question, Shehan, so giving everyone an equal opportunity to make their voices heard and listening to all and not just a few helps us truly understand our associates better. It's about allowing our employees to openly voice their ideas and actively listening and connecting with them to obtain better clarity of how each division, team, and individual feels. So giving your people a voice and creating an inclusive culture can help you increase employee satisfaction, increase employee productivity and collaboration, empower employees to share their ideas and feedback openly, and enable effective problem solving and creativity. So which will ultimately result in company growth and innovation. So I saw in a research like by Deloitte Australia shows that inclusive teams outperform their peers by 80% in team-based assessment. Appreciating and listening to your employees is a great motivator, and it helps employees to reach their fullest potential. So I think D&I is important to any organization, not just Cisco Labs. And as diversity helps to create more innovative workforces and maximize the potential of different ideologies and outlooks. But you need to keep in mind that D&I is not about like ticking boxes and trying to like fulfill political correctness, but instead organizations should see the value in employing and listening to a diverse workforce.
Right, thank you. That was actually going to be my next question, right? Because for some organizations, I know that D&I and certain factors are just, there is like marketing taglines, right? So thanks for clarifying that. So I want to ask you, right? So I hear that Cisco Labs is pretty much at the early stage of your journey in inclusion. In your opinion, what would be the first steps that your management team is considering? Do you foresee any challenges for Cisco Labs in this journey?
Yeah, of course. So we are fully committed to making our workplace more inclusive. It is something that we initiated from the leadership level. Because cultural norms have a tendency to like trickle down and become a part of the organization's culture. So you can also have policy or procedures that says an organization is inclusive, but it doesn't mean if it isn't visible within an organization and it's not put into practice. So here are a few things that we considered at the start of our D&I journey. Number one, what actions, behavior changes are we promoting to create an atmosphere and environment to ensure an open, safe, and growing space? Number two, how are we holding everyone accountable? Not just the leadership, not just like a special group, but everyone accountable for inclusive leadership to ensure a culture of continuous improvement and growth. Do we have the systems, processes, procedures, and values in place to treat everyone inclusively? And how do we equip people with soft skills to be able to have difficult but effective conversations with each other? So in terms of challenges, our biggest challenge was finding the right consultants or people to do it. Because D&I is fairly new to Sri Lanka, and there are only a handful of consultants with the right expertise. So these set of consultants have their own hands full as more and more companies have started implementing D&I in their organization. So we have started reaching out to international companies as well as see how they can bring their global expertise to Sri Lanka to create a more inclusive organization. And we also get like tremendous support from from our parent company to implement D&I in Cisco Labs.
Right. Thank you, Kushani. So in the interest of time, so I have another important question. I want to put it to all three panelists, right? I want you to name one thing that you would like to see happen in the tech industry in the next 12 months towards gender inclusion, right? Something that you haven't seen so far. What would you like to see within the next 12 months? Rangika?
Yes, I think we need greater effort to drive technology education for females because we see a clear gap in terms of supply of talent pipeline in the market. And we believe that initiative has to start from schools where they decide on their higher education. And we really want to see more females in technology studies and building the future pipeline and becoming leaders in tech industry.
Excellent. What about you, Vimali? What would you like to see happen in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think I touched a little bit on this earlier in my answer, but I think global research has shown that one of the main reasons that there are less females in the tech industry is because there are less role models for them. I mean, if you go higher up in the hierarchy, especially in Sri Lanka, you see less and less role models in leadership positions. Women are severely underrepresented in the C-suite in the tech industry globally, and even more so in Sri Lanka. So I'd like to see more women CEOs and CIOs in the tech industry being, actively appointed in the next 12 months, so that more and more young females are inspired to join the tech industry.
That's excellent. Thank you. Kushani, what would you like to see happen in the next 12 months?
Yeah. So I would like to, same as others, Rangika and Phumali, I would like to see more female representation in the tech industry and definitely more females in the leadership roles. So at the moment, I think the percentage is 30-70, but in 12 months or in years' time, I would like to see it increase to 40% at least. So also research shows that the gender gap in technology starts at school and carries on through every stage of girls and women's lives. So I think we need to do our part by changing the ground rules to make technology a more attractive, inclusive, and rewarding career for everyone.
Right. Thank you so much. So I think that's about it. I think we have 3 questions from the audience. Bani, would you like to?
Yeah, let me try to read them. Let me read out one at a time. And y'all, Shahan, I'll leave it to you to figure out how you're going to put it to the panelists. Okay, let's go with question. Let me go with number 2 first. What techniques are adopted at hiring level to understand if the person is a supporter of diversity or is biased based on religion, race, and gender?
Right. I think that would be a good question for Rangika. Rangika, would you like to answer?
Yeah, thank you, Shahan. It's a very difficult thing to identify, I must say. I believe we need to look at the outcome and then we can see whether we are in the right direction. And also through constant education, making sure everyone understands and believe in doing the right thing. And it's also important to have different perspectives, even when selecting people, not just one person in the interview panel, but to have a group interviewing a candidate. So different perspectives are heard, and each interviewer can see the kind of questions being asked, and it becomes a more of a transparent process. And also opening channels for our candidates also to share their feedback. That way we don't lose out on one aspect, because if we only look at internal side, we lose out on what our candidates have actually experienced. So it's really important to get that feedback and look at the comments on social media, look at what we hear out there in the industry about our company, how we conduct interviews. All of these things are important. It's all formal and informal things that would help us in really identifying.
Right. Thank you, Rangika. Bani, can we move on to the next question?
So the next question is about the plantation sector. Let's see whether that whether there are any answers from the tech space. How can we implement the diversity concepts on plantation workers? Any thoughts?
I like to put it out as an open question because it's a totally different industry. Any one of you would like to take that on?
I think it's about raising awareness, isn't it? I think a lot of, as I see some of the background to this question is, that they are lacking their basic facilities. So, and, they don't get their basic human rights. And I'm thinking that these must be, workers in rural areas. I think the main thing that we have a responsibility to raise awareness, because sometimes they might not even be aware of their basic human rights. So I think that's something that we should create initiatives for, and we should actively recognize that as a social problem that we need to solve, and come up with an initiative to raise awareness.
Yeah, I mean, if not, if at least go to your industry bodies. If you can't do it as a company, right, go to your industry bodies and see with their support what you can do to implement DNI in the plantation industry. And this is, I think, the framework policies, but it's pretty much common, and you might have to kind of tailor it for your industry, but it's all available online. There are so many global resources that you can refer to. And it's also not rocket science. So on LinkedIn, you can reach out to DNI experts, and then they respond as well. So yeah, you can take that approach as well as a first step.
And also, I think it's important to know what it really means to them and interpret in a manner that they are able to relate to create an impact.
Great stuff. Bani, can we move on to the last question?
Yes. So I know we've been talking a lot about gender here, and that has been the main focus, especially with IWD. But the question is, what is done to ensure there is no bias towards specially abled persons, transgender gays, because the biasness is there in our society and very hard to change that perception.
Very important question. Thank you so much. I would like to open it out, right? So Rangika, Pumali, Kushani, can I take up that question and answer?
Yeah, I think like they very rightly said in the question, I think as a country, we're long ways away from getting rid of that bias in our society, maybe not towards specially able people, but transgenders and LGBTQ issues. So it's a very difficult topic to broach, but I think we can take small steps within the organization. I think when you are creating policies, you need to consider all of these factors as well, and then you need to make sure that you have a continuous dialogue with your employees to sort of raise awareness on these topics. And I think you need to start with the small things, like maybe being really strict about even jokes or offensive remarks that are made, little passing comments that are made at the workplace. Those should be unacceptable, because the more you accept it and the more you let it happen, the more you are saying that it's okay to have that bias. So I think it's baby steps, but we definitely have to actively take those steps and start.
Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to comment on that as well?
Yes, completely agree with what Pumali said, and we will have to be a little patient because these things are deep-rooted in our society. And we can't achieve change overnight, but I think we need to pick up the quick wins and things that we can do to take the message out. If we pick common languages, such as having empathy, it's hard to debate, right? Things like empathy, it's a value, it's about understanding each other, treating people equally, rather than trying to use some terminology that people are not really used to, or trying to introduce something completely different first. Maybe taking a step in a manner where we are able to create a quick impact by choosing our first steps first. I believe we will have a bigger impact.
All right, so thank you so much. I would like to thank our panelists for this wonderful session. I would like to thank DCLK for personally giving me an opportunity to be a part of this session. I think as many of you said, right, it's the little steps. So I think we have taken a lot of little steps and we are about to take a giant leap. That's what I personally feel in terms of D&I in Sri Lanka. So thank you so much once again to everyone who took part. Before I wrap up, I would like to hand over the proceedings back to Bani.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shehan. We now come to the end of the event. I know we're running a little over. Hope you all have something to take away that will help you towards being more inclusive going forward. Thank you to the panelists, Inoka, Kavita, Anjana, Pumali, Rambika, Kushani for sharing your thoughts on the subject. And they have inspired other companies to embark on the culture journey of diversity and inclusion. Shehan and Niruban, thanks so much for bringing these conversations and partnering with DCLK to begin this most relevant and important conversation today. Thank you to Pavani and Natali for supporting through this whole event coordination and execution and making this a reality for DCLK today. Thank you to the board of DCLK and all companies that joined the panel. Thank you to you all who joined and Articulate, our media partner today. We'd like to leave the session with an inclusion video by Apple.
From the very beginning, we have been a collective of individuals. Different kinds of people from different kinds of places. An intersection of technology and the liberal arts. Diverse backgrounds all working together. One powerful thing we share is the belief that we can make a difference in this world through our products and through our values, through who we are. For this reason, we put inclusion and diversity at our very center. We honor individuality, human dignity, and equality. We want people to be themselves and contribute through their own individual experiences. Because this environment inspires creativity and innovation. It empowers us all to do the best work of our lives together.